You were talking about achievements, highlighting achievements on a CV. That's an important thing.
Yeah, so really explicitly calling it out. I was, number 1 or number 5 or whatever it is in my class, or I was had some big achievements through, your previous work experience, calling that out on the front page. And I think in here before I said, you don't really need to list your skills. I think that comes out through things like your experience, things like your achievements, but really draw the attention to the hiring manager of what you want them to see. So, it's really simple stuff like the format and setting of your CV. Sometimes I don't like short attention span, so I look at, a CV and it all looks the same in terms of writing things. I kind of just gloss over it and kind of move on to the next one. So really simple stuff.
Okay, well, that's important. So one of the things I like to talk about when we talk about CVs is there's 2 types of people reading it. There's the hiring manager, which is the one that Nathan probably most likely is, the person who's he's got 5 CVs on his desk instead of 500 CVs. So there's that person, and then there's the colour, the person that's taken it from 500 to 5 to give to Nathan. And Nathan just said then that I want to look at your work experience and I want to see a good format that makes it easy to read, and he's got a short attention span. The colour, the person cutting it at 500 to 5 has got a way shorter attention span because they're busy. And 500 CVs at 3 seconds each is half a day's work. So
you use 3, do you?
3 seconds.
3-second rule.
Well, no, I just do the maths. Obviously, technology scans CVs these days, but if you have 1,000 CVs and you spend 3 seconds on each of them, that's a day.
Mm.
And so so that person cutting them down is looking for things they don't like on the CV, whereas you're looking for things you do like on a CV, and you've got a short attention span. So in a short attention span, how many pages of a CV will you read?
Generally the front page. I'll only ever read the front page, and if I'm interested, I'll continue. And generally, I only like to see 2 pages, max.
Okay, 2 pages, and you only read the front page. So what is it that you want to see on the front page that might entice you to the second page? I.e., what is the number 1 thing that you look for on a CV?
Honestly, and this is a real challenge for new people, is I look at work experience. And that's tough when you don't always have that. So that's why things like those key achievements are really critical to call out. I think what I do see, which concerns are frustrating as well, it really does come across my desk, is it's not tailored to the role that you're going for. So often you see this one-size-fits-all approach, and it's clear you can actually tell when it isn't suited to that role, and that's another thing that kind of gets frustrating as well.
So, okay, so say everybody on this webinar hasn't had a professional job in the past, right? So they're at university, they've got 12 months to go, they're putting their application in, then I hear a lot students say, I didn't put on my McDonald's job because it's not relevant work experience.
Mm.
Do you like to see paid jobs on their CV?
Where there isn't significant related work history, then absolutely, yeah. So, if someone has a job at McDonald's or worked at Woolworths, there's a lot of skills and character that come out of those types of roles. So it is a role, that's one of those ones coming into the workforce. And absolutely, I do look at those types of things.
So the other thing that kind of might frustrate some people on here is that you just said the number 1 thing that you look at is the work experience.
Yeah, and I'm cognizant that that's a challenge for everyone. But it is, and maybe it's a little bit more for the roles that I'm looking after, because experience is really key to a sales type role. But yeah,
education.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and
is that
then
second? Where do your eyes go?
Well, and generally education's at the back. So if I've something that's going to be in front, I'll go and have a look at the education. Absolutely, education is really important as well, and particularly achievements throughout education is an important one to look for as well. We want to hire the best possible people for these roles. So if you can actually spell out that you've been successful in whatever it is that you're doing, and that's important as well.
So on 2 pages, page 1, you see some great work experience. If you're brand new to your career, then, always had a job, always doing, hopefully some customer facing, where you've worked under pressure in a team and stuff. And you'd say, okay, that's great. You turn over and you see that there's relevant degree or this tertiary education that you can make relevant to whatever the role is. That's great. What's the next thing that you like to see on there?
To be honest, that's generally enough for me. Like, a CV is really just hygiene. Like that just gives me that's the ticket in order to get in front and interview from anyone. But I don't spend extensive amounts of time going through a CV and every single line by line on what it is. There's a couple of things that kind of stick out to me, and then from there I'll say, well, that's good enough for me. I want to learn more about this individual, and I want to see how they operate throughout the interview process.
Well, so you're the hiring manager, so you're potentially going to spend 40 hours a week. Are you interested that they like fire twirling and cooking mug cakes?
I'm not interested. I think it comes to the whole person test. That sounds quite a good skill. Actually.
Yeah, there's not many fire twirlers out there. We're quite a unique bunch.
Put that on there, yeah. No, all that stuff's important. It is important, but just because you do fire twirling doesn't get you a job. If you do fire twirling, it's the whole person contest, which is
something to talk about. Great. So what don't you put on a CV? It's hard for you because you probably don't see the train wrecks of CVs because that person over here has cut them out.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you don't like? And then I might talk about some of the train wrecks.
There's two things that I see that the first one does irritate me, which is the non-tailored to the job you're going for. Yep. The second one is listing out your skills. Like it's just I think to know what it is because I can tell from being successful and like I'm not looking for you to type, self-starter or your motivated. That's all just I do expect as a kind of baseline.
Okay, cool. So that's really handy. I mean, that's as good information as you're going to get from a hiring manager. Honestly, that's not actually screening there and then, because sometimes we find that the hiring manager will just go, no, this is someone else, you're not getting that feedback, but there's some really good feedback in CVs. Now, just to get a bit of clarity around what the person calling might look for, to make it, so they've got 3 seconds to read your CV, so don't put anything on there that doesn't add value. No borders, no banners, no colour, no perfume, anything like that kind of actually could just make that person go in the bin.
Yeah.
And you're probably not seeing 1,000 CVs coming through either, but my answer to the question always about do you put a cover letter on? Nathan just mentioned that if it's not tailored or it looks like it was something else or it looks generic, then it's a no. That's what happens a lot with cover letters. And so my name's Alistair with a D, not a T. If you write T instead of a D in the second letter, I'm throwing in the bin because your attention to detail's gone.
Yeah, and that's another one, not the second thing. As soon as you see a mistake in it, a small mistake in a CV, it goes in the
even in formatting.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. And so anyway, we talk about that, but there's some really good tips there, mate. So we'll just move on in the interest of time. But guys, if you want to chime in any questions, I'm more than happy to sort of see if we can deal with them as we're talking on each topic. But as we sort of move through, we'll get on. Now, psychometric assessment. Have you ever done one? Do you guys have them as part of your screening policies?
Yes, they're critical to the screening process.
So what do you use? Why is this? What's the value for you as a hiring manager to have a psychometric assessment?
Because we can clearly understand the strengths and weaknesses of an individual and their personality profiling, and they are, pretty much all the time they come through. So whenever I have a challenge with an employee, and that challenge comes to fruition, I can go back to the psychometric testing, and more often than not, they'll be straight there, and I can see that. So that's why we see so much value on it, and why we, along with kind of gut feel and all those type of things, use that as a really strong overlay to when we're selecting talent in our organisation.
And so you've done them before?
I have.
And so obviously you passed them, Russ,
yeah. Yeah, I have. And the first one I did, and this is a good thing, is I tried to answer the questions based on what I thought I wanted. And it came through, and the feedback I was given, I was successful in the role, but that feedback was delivered to me, and that was a really good learning for me. I think you can't overthink it, and you need to answer what's best and truthful for you. You don't need to know information or to go through it, so don't overthink it. Just go through and answer as best what's suited to you and your personality.
Because one of the scales that we particularly use is that personality scale, right? So if you only like spreadsheets and analysing data, you don't particularly like people, somewhat's not important and a little bit of oxygen is good, then it would be remiss of us to put you in a client-facing role, right? So they're not trying to trick you. They're just trying to find out on the personality bit. They're trying to find out how you like to work and how you like to perform and how you fit in the team. So it is what it is.
Really good point.
And as I do know, the results in the personality scale are normally distributed. So if you do try and trick it, it provides on statistics an outlier. We ignore outliers and they show up in the results. So don't try and trick the personality scale. There is a cognitive component to the one we use, and I'm sure there is on your one, which is kind of a numerical and a logical reason, like how you think. And my only advice on that, and you might have some too, is it comes with extreme time pressure. A lot of it is not just a maths test. It's not a maths test, it's a time test. So it puts time on you to see what you do when the heat's on you. So just be aware that your attention to detail and your accuracy through a cognitive component of the psychometric assessment is what we're testing, not have we got maths.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think if you're at that stage where you are getting testing, you should be really happy and positive that you've gotten to that level. So I think there's an opportunity to really have that final test before you're getting in with that employer as well. So yeah, it's kind of a bit daunted by it, but yeah, a couple of good points there.
Okay, cool. So preparing for the job market, let's get a bit general now. And if anyone wants to chime and ask for anything specific, then let me know. So I said preparing for the job market. So I'm assuming that a lot of the people here are still at university. They're thinking about how to approach the job market, their career, and so forth. What are some you talked about hygiene? What are some things they should be doing if they haven't got their job yet? What they should be doing? Like some of the
yeah, I think it is a really tough time. I do remember it. Look back to my stuff. One of the things that I really tried to do early on is build that network. So just be a massive sponge. Go to as many things as you can through your networks, whether it be at uni, whether it be exposure through industry organisations or alumni type events. And talk to as many people as you can and just kind of start wedging your way through your various networks and other fun opportunities. I think that was a really good one for me. Be kind of selfless as well. So take opportunities where you won't get maybe that monetary gain straight away, but you start to learn some skills and develop some kind of experience through those areas as well. I think that's key. And you ultimately be pretty patient, as much as tough as that sounds. Being patient throughout that process is being, making sure you're ready for the right opportunity as it comes up.
What about, there was a question here about handling a career change, David. I just want to put a bit more detail on what you actually want us to cover there. So what about having a really good understanding of the market that you're going into? Because I think what seems really daunting to a lot of people at university is they see the standard big brands that rock up to University of New South Wales or any of the or Western Sydney, and they say, here's PwC, here are our roles, and it's highly competitive to get in there, and it's quite there's a point when a friend gets a job there, or because actually 7,000 people applying for it, and there's 10 roles. So what's some tricks that sort of think next year? What else is out there? How do you kind of find out what opportunities are out there?
Oh, I don't think there's any kind of silver bullet for that type of stuff. I think just coming back to that premise of talking to as many people as you can, be busy, be constantly looking at the relevant kind of job sites and stuff like that. I mean, that's really kind of, mentally and kind of to hygiene, but that's just kind of heavy lifting. You just need to be present and aware and looking at as many opportunities and applying for them as possible. I think that match, what you want to do, your values and kind of your experience and stuff like that.
Well, that's probably a whole other conversation there. And I guess, I got into the workforce by offering myself up to go and work for Muskie for 2 weeks. I don't think anybody should do that.
No.
It's just how I. And then the career. Then, as you sort of said, once you kind of get that first one, your career should just look after yourself, and your networks actually provide you with opportunities and so forth.
Yeah, you don't by no means. Do you need to work for free to get a role? No, I don't either. But if someone came to me, either through someone I knew or just however they came to me and said, "Look, I just really want to learn what you do in your business," I would have no hesitation in giving something back to them and putting them into contact with people and might be able to help them.
You're going to get 75 emails now. So...
It's all right.
Okay, so we've got 8 more minutes. I just want to... there's one last one that we should cover off. Why should we hire you? We had a bit of a laugh about this before we got on. The question... why should we hire you? So that question comes up in some interviews. I like the question. Nathan wasn't a particular fan of the question.
Just not said in those words. Like, I think it's implied for some of the other questions you might ask. But if you say it the right way, I think it is really important.
Okay, so let me ask you the question how I like to say it.
Yeah.
So for me to give you the job, I have to say no to 2 other people. Why would I say yes to you?
Yeah,
Okay, so what sort of things are you looking for in that?
So what I'm looking for is a couple of things. So how they handle that question, so listen about what they say. Like how do they handle that kind of question? Are they calm? Are they confident? But are kind of still remaining a little bit humble? And I think what I see quite a lot is just this uncertainty. So, I don't know. I'm just and that's not right. Like I want someone to be really clear on what it is that they can bring specific to that role. So, quite often, selling yourself and is a bit of a challenge. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but this is the best opportunity for you to really sell yourself, sell your skills, sell why you think you should be in that role. So talk maybe 3 or 4 skills or things that you think can be suited to that role, and then relate back to real life examples. So skill A, therefore, this is how that's been demonstrated in a role, and this is why I was successful, and this is why I achieved X in that role. So, kind of tell them the what in terms of the skill, and then tell a bit of a story about it as well.
So, and so the train wreck I see in that one where people that get that question wrong is when they start throwing the other people under the bus. Well, I'm better than the other 2 because of this, and this. That's where it goes wrong.
Yeah.
I never do that.
It's not about the other people, it's about you.
And so what I kind of coach on there is saying, thinking about what's in the other person's mind. So if you were asking me that question, I was applying for this job here in Zurich. It's not about what I can get out of the role. It's the value that I can add to you. So I need to think about what's in it for Nathan, because then if I can say, look, I'm going to de-risk the opportunity, I'm going to add value to it, I'm going to increase revenue, I'm going to save costs, I'm going to be able to bring this skill to the thing which is going to make your life easier. That's actually why he's got the job there, because he's got a task that needs to be done. It's not about, to be really good for my career development, because although he likes me a lot, he doesn't really care. He cares about what that role's going to do for what's important to Nathan. So always think about what's in it for the person asking the question.
And it's a really good lesson for so much more than just job interviews, right? Like if you put yourself in someone else's shoes that you try to influence, you'll go a long way. So very good.
So look, just in the interest of time, there's a couple of questions here. I've got 2 polls I want to send to you. The first one is one about, I don't know, I can't do that one. Let me just check. I just want to ask you what's your biggest concern, right? So for our future webinars, we're going to do more of these. I just want you to tick one of these things to let us know that we deliver content better for you. Now, I'm going to ask a question about what the ideal job position in financial planning field for a graduate, where the job requirements are at a minimum and the main focus on financial knowledge, personal attributes and soft skills.
I think the best job you can get is one within the financial planning business. That's the answer. But you can get a receptionist job or some type of entry-level job. I think the best one's probably client services, because you get exposure to so many different things in terms of advice, in terms of document delivery, or in terms of exposure to the planners as well. So if you get into like a client service role in the financial planning business or a support role, I think you're doing well and well on your way to a career in financial planning.
Good, and I think exactly that. It's about getting a job where you can make a difference, paid, learning the long division. You know, one of the things that I'm going to talk more and more about over the coming months is making sure that you're delivering great outcomes for that business. That's understanding how the administration works, how the paperwork works, how the clients engage with the business, how you represent the brand that's speaking to the clients too. That's all key in any business, not just financial planning businesses. So that's key. So was there any other questions? That was precisely answered, so that's great. Now, I just want to ask a question which is a bit more sort of selfish around what Grad Mentor can do, around how you like to consume. Is this been valuable? Do you like the webinars? How else do you like to consume information? And while I do that, I just want to talk about what we can do for you. So, Grad Mentor, if you need help finding jobs, if you need help coaching through any of the things that we do, you can follow our link on our website through the Grad page or on social media through the chat bot. And we can help you with your psychometric assessments, your CVs, your behavioural interview techniques. Ultimately, you know, we can introduce you to a large network of people that are looking for people with no experience. So that's what we do. Our website's Grad Mentor, our social media is Grad Mentor. You can get all the information on there. There's been one question here which I'll answer just in parting. In regards to new requirements to become a qualified financial, is our current degree we're completely finished at the end of the year. Does not cover all the subject, which is just competing not before you enter the market. Is it essential? Okay, so what this is saying, in financial planning, there's a new education standard that says you need an approved degree as compared to a relevant degree, but you can do a relevant degree in accounting and then you can do a grad cert or grad dip in financial planning over time. What our experience is and the clients that we work with, they will not put you in front of a client as a financial planner in the first 2 or 3 years. So get yourself into the business, then do your continuing education on the journey to becoming a financial planner, if that's where you want to go. Because the other thing is you might get in there and go, you know, I really like this client admin, or I really like management, or I really like paraplanning, or I like technical, I want to go and work at Zurich, or whatever that might be, and it might end up that you're not going to go down the line of becoming a financial planner this early in your journey, so you don't lose anything there. Would you, I mean, education standards are huge at the minute, but my conversation to you and all my clients is find a role where you can make a difference, that you can connect with and go there.
Yeah, very well.
Great. All right. Thank you very much for your input. I'm going to send this all back out to you on YouTube. Share it. We'll do another one in about 4 to 6 weeks. If you want to send an email or anything to us about what sort of person or who you like to me to sort of get on board, that'd be great. If you want more people like Nathan, that's excellent. If you want people less like Nathan, so, thank you very much, and please share with your mates. Cheers.